Imagine a sky full of stars, silent and endless. And then, suddenly, something appears that defies everything we know. A glowing disk, a blinding light, an object moving faster than any human-made craft. For decades, witnesses across America, from trained pilots to radar operators and ordinary citizens, reported encounters with unidentified flying objects. But what if these were not just stories? What if the U.S. government knew far more than it ever admitted and worked systematically to bury the truth? This is the story of Project Blue Book, the U.S. Air Force's official investigation into UFO sightings, and the deeper, more secret layers of cover-ups that reached beyond anything the public was ever told. In the early 1950s, when reports of strange objects filling American skies began to rise dramatically, the U.S. Air Force launched Project Blue Book, officially tasked with determining whether UFOs posed a threat to national security. Publicly, it was science. Privately, it was control. Between 1952 and 1969, Project Blue Book investigated over 12,000 UFO cases. But what's most shocking is not what they revealed, but what they concealed. In hundreds of declassified documents, investigators wrote about unidentified aerial phenomena that displayed impossible speeds, sudden direction changes, and behaviors that defied the known laws of physics. Many of these cases were labeled unknown, meaning no earthly explanation could be found. Yet, when presented to the public, officials dismissed most sightings as weather balloons, reflections, or misidentified aircraft. Why? Because during the height of the Cold War, the U.S. government feared that public panic or enemy manipulation could destabilize the nation. But the truth is far stranger than propaganda. Some of the most credible reports came from Air Force pilots and radar operators, trained professionals who described a metallic craft hovering silently, performing maneuvers impossible for any known technology. In 1952, Washington, D.C. experienced one of the most famous UFO incidents in history. Multiple unidentified blips appeared on radar screens at the nation's capital, chased by jet fighters, yet vanished in ways no known aircraft could. The press dubbed it the Washington Flap, and even President Truman demanded answers. But within days, officials launched a full-scale campaign to calm the public, denying anything extraordinary had occurred. Behind closed doors, however, intelligence officers were alarmed. Internal memos later revealed that high-ranking officials were deeply concerned that some of these craft could be of non-human origin. Then came Project Grudge and Project Sign, precursors to Blue Book, where early analysts initially concluded that UFOs might represent something interplanetary. Those conclusions were quickly buried. Scientists were pressured to conform, reports were sanitized, and skeptical narratives were enforced. Anyone within the program who dared to suggest alien intelligence risked their career. The government didn't just want to hide the truth, it wanted to control belief itself. That is why, in 1953, the CIA-sponsored Robertson panel recommended an active policy of debunking UFO reports. The goal: make the topic so ridiculed that no serious scientist or journalist would touch it. For decades, this strategy worked. Witnesses were mocked, data disappeared, and those who spoke up were labeled crazy. But beneath the ridicule, a hidden network of scientists, engineers, and intelligence officers quietly kept investigating. Some believed these craft were extraterrestrial probes, while others suspected secret Soviet technology. What is undeniable is that something was flying in our skies, and official channels didn't have the answers. Declassified documents from Blue Book show 701 unexplained cases, including sightings by astronauts and military officers. One chilling report from 1957 describes a glowing object pacing a U.S. bomber over Texas, detected on both visual and radar. Another file details an encounter in Montana, where a UFO disabled multiple nuclear missiles, an event later corroborated by retired Air Force officers. Yet none of these incidents made the evening news. As Blue Book's investigators grew frustrated, they realized their conclusions were being rewritten or ignored. The program's director, Edward J. Ruppelt, later admitted that there was a definite effort to downgrade the significance of UFOs. By the late 1960s, under mounting pressure, the Air Force hired the Condon Committee at the University of Colorado to perform an independent review. But even before it began, internal memos showed that the outcome was predetermined. UFOs would be declared unworthy of further study. In 1969, Blue Book officially closed, claiming there was no evidence of extraterrestrial visitation. Yet in private, intelligence agencies continued their own research, under code names like MJ-12, AATIP, an Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program decades later. One of the most intriguing revelations came not from scientists, but from whistleblowers. In the 1980s, documents surfaced referencing Majestic 12, a supposed secret committee formed by President Truman to study recovered alien craft. Although heavily disputed, these files mirrored claims made by high-ranking officials, including military pilots, that crashed UFOs and even non-human bodies had been recovered since the 1947 Roswell incident. Whether MJ-12 was real or disinformation, its existence highlighted one chilling fact. The government had created layers of secrecy so deep that even Congress couldn't fully penetrate them. In the 21st century, truth began to slip through the cracks. The Pentagon's 2017 disclosure of Navy encounters with tic-tac-shaped craft reignited global curiosity. These unidentified objects performed maneuvers similar to those described in Blue Book reports, accelerating from rest to supersonic speeds, stopping mid-air, and vanishing. When the U.S. Navy confirmed the authenticity of those videos, it shattered decades of official denial. Suddenly, what had once been dismissed as fantasy was front-page news. Lawmakers demanded answers, and the Department of Defense quietly established the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, to track these phenomena. Still, most findings remain classified. What are they hiding this time? Insiders like Luis Elizondo, who led the Pentagon's AATIP program, claimed the government holds compelling evidence of technology that's not made by humans. Others, including former intelligence officers, hinted that retrieval programs for non-human craft might exist within private defense contractors, shielded from oversight. The pattern is hauntingly familiar: deny, deflect, and dismiss, just as Blue Book once did. Even NASA's recent efforts to study UAPs are limited by restricted data access, proving that the legacy of secrecy persists. But perhaps the greatest mystery is why. Why spend billions hiding UFO data, intimidating witnesses, and manipulating narratives? Some theorize the truth is simply too disruptive, that acknowledging extraterrestrial presence would upend religion, global security, and economic systems. Others believe the U.S. wanted to reverse engineer alien technology in secret, gaining military superiority. If even a fraction of these claims are true, then the story of UFOs is not just about the unknown, it's about power, control, and humanity's struggle to face a reality beyond its comprehension. Throughout history, truth has always emerged slowly piece by piece. What began as rumor in the 1940s has evolved into a global investigation in the 2020s. Declassified documents, radar logs, cockpit videos, and sworn testimony all point to one undeniable fact. Something extraordinary has been visiting our skies for generations. Whether it's visitors from another world or advanced technology beyond human reach, Project Blue Book was only the beginning of a much larger story. Even now, as governments across the world admit they don't have all the answers, the question remains: who or what is behind these encounters? And why has humanity been kept in the dark for so long? The truth may not lie in distant galaxies, but in our own archives, buried beneath decades of denials and redacted files. As long as those secrets remain hidden, Project Blue Book will stand not as an investigation into UFOs, but as a monument to how far power will go to protect the truth from the people who deserve it most. Because in the end, the cover-up is often more revealing than the mystery itself, and perhaps, somewhere in those shadows, the real story of our place in the universe waits to be uncovered.